Just drop one right now as we're live. Hey guys, Chris Pesek, Dripping Springs home team, and my friend Ashley Tullis and her husband John Tullis, owners, partners, managers, everything at Atomic Properties Group. And sorry about the technical difficulties today. We just sometimes things get messed up, and for the first time in 3.5 years, we were not at 2:00, and I apologize.
All good.
What are you gonna do?
We're here now.
Yeah, we are here. We are. Yeah. And speaking of being here, I just want you to know I'm back in Texas and I'm still doing the show outside just like y'all are. So look, it's not that hot, people.
We can tell there's a little bit of sweat on your brow.
That's just a little bit. Do I need a powder? Jeez.
Wardrobe.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Wardrobe.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right. Oh man. So what are you guys doing this afternoon?
What are we doing?
Just catch up on our Monday work and sweating.
And I would start drinking because it's on a Monday. My Wyatt is at home. He's bored. Like, I feel like we need to go find a body of water and an alcoholic beverage. But I also think we talked about this last time. Hey, Michael.
That is a man beard.
It is. But we were right before we went live. And the reason, guys, I have John with me is Chris and John were engaged in a really good dialogue. Like, the people need to know. They need something about a blackberry gozer.
No. Goza.
Okay. Over in New York City in 1984. Goes, which is a type of sour ale, but
there is no only Zool.
Just in case you guys, and I'll pronounce it differently, but I don't know. John's probably right. So in case you're curious about the difference between a beer and a goza or a goze, they being GOSE, they're not finished with hops. They're just finished with other botanicals, or can be finished with other botanicals. So it's fermented the same way a beer is. And I think the grains are the same, but it's just finished differently, correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
And Chris, if you don't mind, we have to revisit a conversation from last week because I was absolutely speaking out of turn about you informed me that Shiner Bock is not a Bock and the why. And then I was like, I'm pretty sure my husband worked on the Shiner Blonde campaign. You were also right again. Right? It was the light blonde campaign?
I worked on light blondes, and then I worked on the rebrand of blonde to premium.
Bringing premium back.
Yes, which is what blonde was before.
So if you're fact-checking me, now we can put the nail in the coffin that I really can't talk beer like these people.
Well, the first thing to talking beer is making sure that your body composition is more than 50% beer. I mean, it's just what it is.
What you call it, out.
That's right. No, but what John and I were talking about, so Erica and I did, true to form, we got back into town Thursday night. Saturday morning, we were on the San Marcos River. And coming back, we hit Roughhouse Brewing in Wimberley. And a lot of their beers are sours and farmhouse ales and things like that. And I didn't try their cave ale, even though their cave ale is basically a farmhouse ale. But evidently they've got a cave on property, and that's where they ferment these beers. That's why they call them cave ales.
Oh.
I don't know. I can't, like the general public can't go in the cave, but they have beers that they ferment in their cave. So I when I left, I was like, crap, I forgot to try a cave beer. I don't know what it tastes like. So I can't tell you.
Can you see the cave even though you can't go in it?
I did not know that it was there. So I don't know. The property itself is pretty big. I think the owners live on site. And so it may be elsewhere on the property. I'm not sure.
Interesting. Really?
So.
Yeah, the place is gorgeous. That's a must.
Yeah. It's it reminds me a little bit of Ghost Note. But a little bit more rustic and polished, like if that's a thing, rustic and polished at the same time.
Yeah.
But I mean, beautiful trees. Really, they show movies out there like once a week in the summer, and most of them are 80s movies.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. But anyway, y'all do anything cool around town?
So John went by Jester King and picked up this release, which was also a trip down memory lane for us. I think I mentioned to you before we went live. That's been around a long time. I know this because at the open, pregnant, and our son is 11 and a half. So this was at least 12 years ago, I would say. I'd say it's about 12 years ago. And again, I'm so glad John's sitting here because I try and talk beer and it screwed up early. John, will you tell them about this release? There was like something going on with this that I totally didn't understand, but it's a big damn deal is all I got out of it.
Well, I think most of the stuff that they make there is like pretty wild and a big damn deal. But this stuff, the Atrial Rubicite, and I'm probably mispronouncing all that wrong too, but it's kind of a raspberry farmhouse ale sour type concoction, but it's like one of the highest rated beers like in the entire world. I just think that's super rad that's brewed like right here in our backyard.
Where did you read that? Because he's like, it's a big deal in the whole beer world. And I'm like, according to who? You? Somebody here in Drip? And he's like, no.
Yeah, well, I piddle around on like Beer Advocate a lot. Always having like Shiner as a client and, just kind of learning about the different types of beers and what's out there and consuming them. I like to know what's good. I try around, the country with a group of guys. We go to different breweries. We've been to the big stuff, like the super good ones like Three Floyds and all that. So
Right.
I piddle around on Beer Advocate, and I like to see what the rest of the world thinks is like good here in Texas. And this is, the best Jester King brew. It has been for a long time. Like it's been on that within the top 100 for years. So they released 4,000 bottles of it and a couple of magnums. So I went out there on Saturday.
Yeah. And I've been out there one time for one of their releases, and I don't know that it was. I don't think it was this beer because it's been, like I said, guys. I live less than a mile from Jester King, and I don't know the last time that I've been there. And it's not that I necessarily dislike their beer. I just go other places all the time because, well, I'll be honest, Jester King is packed normally when I'm there.
As John said, that the picture of like release day on, I think it was Friday, you had to go in person. You couldn't like pre-order or anything. He said the line was at least 50 deep, which seemed that bad to be honest. But
well, and that's the last time I was there, they were doing a release and the line was wrapped around the building. And I wasn't there for the release. I was just there having a beer. And I'm like, what in the world's going on? It's pretty nuts. Yeah.
I think she stood in line there one time to pick up a beer for her brother who released it. I think you were in line for 2 hours.
It was a long. He's lucky. I love him.
I was about to say, that's a good sister. My sister would not do that for me. And she loves me dearly. She would not wait in line for 2 hours for me for a beer. And well, what would she say? She would say, Christopher John, you've lost your mind. That's what she would say.
I'm pretty sure to quote my Nana, I said, this is the most ridiculous thing I ever saw. For sure. But I powered through. I didn't get him a Christmas gift that year. That's for sure.
Oh, okay. There you go. that made up for it. That made up for it.
Yeah, but that was the first time I learned about like an underground beer trade is what I'll call it.
Yeah.
It's big.
Yeah, I didn't realize that our area was so ripe for profitability on this underground trade. It is amazing what people will pay for a bottle of damn beer.
You ought to see the underground whiskey trade.
Oh, I think I'm a little familiar with that one as well.
I've got 2 bottles in my cabinet right now that are probably worth 4 times what I paid for them, and they weren't cheap. Let
the people know.
I don't know if anybody knows about it down here. So there's this brewery this distillery in Denver called Stranahan's, and Stranahan's is probably my favorite distillery of all time. And once a year, they produce a limited release that they call Snowflake because, everyone is unique. Typically, like most distilleries, they blend their whiskeys together. Well, as they're tasting barrels, if there's certain barrels that taste right by themselves. They take those barrels and set them aside, and then they finish them for the last 2 years. They like swap them out between like different types of wine barrels, port barrels, things like that. So they'll swap them out or put them in different barrels every 4 to 8 months, just to get different finishes on them as they go through. And then it's a single barrel release, that usually the aging in the barrels is different for every batch that comes through. So that's their snowflake release. And they're not very cheap, but they're not super, they're a little over $100 a bottle, which is really expensive, but it's not like in the whiskey world, that's not expensive. But yeah, I've seen those things going for north of $500, on the black market.
Now, I'm not a whiskey girl. Like, how we're even friends, I'm not even sure anymore. Like, what what we have, honestly. But I have heard some pretty amazing things about, I believe, Andalusia over in
Andalusia. Mm-hmm.
I've heard some pretty amazing things about that spot. And one of the things I heard, and you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, the distiller is a woman, is
Yes.
and I'm like, well, that kicks ass. That's super cool. I'm always really excited to see women in a male dominated space.
Yeah.
And I've heard that their whiskey is pretty darn amazing, but I just don't know what I'm doing when it comes to that. So I could not confirm nor deny.
Milam and Green is also a woman run, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I understand. Yeah.
That's down in Blanco, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Those two, God, I'm trying to think if there's any other ones in the area, but I've heard those two are. Now, I've never met the distillers or anything, or the owners, but yeah, I've heard the same thing. I've never had Milam and Green, and I've had a couple of different Andalusia offerings, and they were good, without a doubt. They were good.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and the building and all of that at Andalusia, like when you go out, it like from the outside, it looks like a barn, but it's a really cool place. And I mean, it's 20 minutes down the road. Jeez.
Yeah, it is right around the corner. Speaking of things right down the road, you were somewhere over the weekend. Like, it looked like a daiquiri stop, but I couldn't.
Girl, I got a list of stuff here that we did this weekend.
Been yapping for 12 minutes on here. Let's hit it.
It's good because I mean I've been gone for so long. We just kind of made up for lost time, as we were doing it. But so we made a big loop, and there's one new business that I'm real excited about. But I got to start off with Triple S, and right now I'm gonna give my don't be a city person in the country spiel. Guys, if you're worried about the deer right now, do not feed them corn. Stop buying corn to feed your deer. You can go to Triple S. I mean, if Monica's there, talk to her. Get protein. That's what, especially the doe right now. That's what the doe need because they've got fawns on the ground. Get them protein. You can feed them protein. That's fine. And put out water. That's the other big thing that they need right now. So anyway, there's number one. Stop feeding deer corn. Feed them protein. Corn's like candy. It's like a filler. You don't want your kids eating corn all the time or candy all the time. That's the whole point. And people that hunt them, they put out corn because they come to it, right? But anyway, after that, so here's the business that I'm really, really excited about. And I don't know if y'all had a chance to go over the last couple of weekends, but Flight Ice Cream. Mm-hmm. I think you were the one that brought it up. Have you been, or have y'all been?
No, I haven't been. So I saw their pop-up in chocolate on Fridays, and I'm like, oh, this is exciting. But I feel like they're taking up a more permanent residence somewhere else. Tell me all the things.
They were at Fitzhugh yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's the first thing is so we finally got to meet Matt. He was with Tracy over at Dripping Springs Chocolate. We stopped in on Saturday at lunch, I guess. First of all, the ice cream, holy crap, real good. But the biggest thing is they're doing collaborations with everybody around Dripping Springs. It's like our love language. And my wife gave me that term. She's like, yeah, this is like our love language here. You're doing business with other businesses in Dripping Springs. So yeah, y'all are right. They were at Dripping Springs Chocolate and they used their chocolate in some of their ice creams. They were at Acapon. They did ice cream with some of Acapon's beer for Acapon's fifth anniversary this weekend. Where else? I've got to write it all down because I forget. Oh, I can't forget this one. They were at Fitzhugh Brewing, and they used some of Nate's beer at Fitzhugh Brewing for. They did I think they used like his English mild, off the charts good. And then my buddy Mike Trevino and Nicole Weathered Hands Coffee, they've made two coffee ice creams. One of them is just coffee, and it might be the best coffee ice cream I've ever had. It's just, I mean, I can't even explain. It's like, that it's cold brew because there's no bitterness in it at all. Like it's perfect. And then they also, oh, go ahead.
Take your wife's description. It's a love language. Their ice cream is a love language.
Yeah.
With Dripping Springs. I love that. That's beautiful. Totally spot on.
And Michael nailed it. Yep, they did it at 12 Fox. Yep, with I think they used Betty at 12 Fox. And then they did a coffee and donuts. So they put blueberry donuts from Bougie's Donuts in there with the Weathered Hands coffee.
Ooh, interesting.
I'm gonna tell you what. And you can buy like individuals. It's basically a scoop, or you can buy a pint. I'm sure he'll sell you a gallon also. I don't know, or a half gallon. But wow. And again, they're just, they're doing all of the local stuff. He's teaming up with everybody local. He's already got stuff in the works for other local businesses, but I won't ruin his surprises on those. So, man.
Exciting, really exciting.
Just freaking great stuff. Oh, and one other thing that I want to make note of, since I mentioned Fitzhugh Brewing. So their food vendor has changed.
Mm-hmm.
It was PEJ Kitchens, which, if you didn't know, was Pokey Joe's barbecue. It was their catering arm. But now that's no longer the case. Did you ever eat at the food truck at Twisted X?
Did we? I don't know that we did. Do we have tacos? Do they sell tacos?
I feel like once a long time ago.
I think they used to. But anyway, when we did our date night at Twisted X, the food truck that was there was being run by Andrew. And that food truck went away, but now Andrew is the executive chef at Fitzhugh Brewing.
Fabulous.
And I am freaking excited because his food is awesome. Just freaking out of this world. Unbelievable. Great. Especially our brewery out here, our brewery scene, their food. Jeez.
Well, I mean, previously Fitzhugh Brewing was delicious.
It was great.
So the fact that they've even like leveled it up, I'm like, well, hell yeah, that's awesome. And I'm going to say it. It's the prettiest facility in the area. They understood the assignment.
I'm going to, and I love Dub and Judy and their family and what they've done over there, but I'm going to say it's not my aesthetic.
I know. I don't know that it's necessarily his either.
I'm kind of into farmhouse modern. I mean,
but it's
a little bit of Chip and Joanna in there, but
it's a little Chip and Joanna. Yeah.
I'm here for it. Chris, we only have a couple minutes before we sign off. I'm wearing my.
Oh, you froze.
Oh no. Okay.
I hear you though.
Did I freeze? Did you see the hat?
I got you now, Retro Bassin.
Mm-hmm. Do you follow them on Instagram?
I don't. No.
You
need to. It is so cool. So this gentleman, he is one of the partners in Tejas Provisions.
Okay.
So I think this is technically a Tejas Provisions hat. And Retro Bassin is an old school fishing, brand, pet project for a local guy, Chris Bowman.
Okay.
This guy brings all of the amazing items from the 80s, I would say, into the fishing space. And he does it just looks so damn cool the way incredible. He does it.
It's very well produced, but Remember when we were kids and you'd like turn on TNN on a Saturday morning and you'd see like Roland Martin and Jimmy.
Oh yeah, Roland Martin and Bill Dance. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's keeping that alive. I mean, it's rayon jackets, it's blue blockers. Like,
That's awesome.
Incredible. Like, but he goes, like, he travels for work, but he goes into tackle shops wherever he goes, like different regions of the country. And he goes into tackle shops and he talks to these guys and he gets stuff from like, the back rooms, like just dead stock. And
and he's fishing with old gear too. I just looked it up.
Yeah.
There's nothing new.
Because I see this Daiwa that he's got, and I'm like, I had one of those.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And his kids were the Instagram posts, the last two, I think 4th of July for tracker.
He's got a retro like anniversary edition bass tracker.
I'm just showing y'all my dog rolling on the ground out there in the sun.
Charlie.
So he's got an old school bass tracker.
Well, it's a newer one, but it's a retro design, like
gotcha.
70s, early 80s model, and it's an amazing thing that he's producing right here in Dripping Springs. So
that's cool.
And where this kind of came from, like why I kind of wanted to mention it on this, I got to participate in the 2045 comprehensive plan with the county, with the city last week, and they asked us some really interesting questions. And one of the questions that they asked us all to answer was, what is your favorite place in Dripping? And you can repeat what somebody else said. I had the luxury of going last, so a lot of mine were taken. But in my top 3, where I'm the happiest in Dripping Springs is where I can drop a line in the water. That is what I love about our community. So if you're into that too, Retro Bassin is just a really fun local, I'm going to call it a brand, just kind of follow around. Like, this guy has a blast, and you might pick up a tip or two along the way.
That's cool. Yeah, and just looking at it, I can see a few of the spots that he's fishing are local. So that's, really cool. But he got another follower now.
We're not going to talk about our favorite fishing spots live on this channel because not very many of them, and the ones that we do like are probably shouldn't be there because we're not, paying dues. So we're going to keep those a secret.
You and me both. Because I got a feeling we know a couple of the same ones.
I know New Mexico is, but is Colorado's a lot of public lands, right?
Yes, tons of public land.
Man, that's like my only gripe about Texas is like the good stuff. It's hard to just walk onto it.
Martin said, shh.
He may or may not have a great spot at the back of his neighborhood.
Martin probably has a pretty good spot back there.
And those gates are open before sunset.
Look, all I know is I travel with a rod in the back of the Jeep. And, when you're showing houses during the day, sometimes it just calls to you.
Absolutely. Got that little hour hose and some water. Instant cool down.
That's it. That is it. Oh, all right, guys. We're going to wrap it up. We do this every Monday, obviously. Generally at 2:00. Again, sorry for the technical difficulties today, but sometimes you just deal with what the hand you're dealt. And we're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about favorite eating spots, drinking spots, things to do. We will not talk about our favorite fishing holes, but we'll tell you that we enjoy fishing.
But if you have a good fishing hole that's your secret and you want to private message us an invite,
especially, look, I'm going to be honest with you. One of the biggest things that I miss as a kid is going out to somebody's stock tank on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon and just sitting out on the back of a truck with a fishing rod and a cold. If you got that spot, let me know. I will buy the beer and the bait. I'll buy the bait too.
Yeah.
I got a feeling John will probably bring some beers as well. Anyway, guys, we will see y'all next Monday. Have a great, awesome rest of the week. Talk to you soon.
Toodaloo.
Bye.